Well, hello there, it's Dan here on Saturday the 3rd of June. Not the warmest day that one could maybe expect in June, but there we are, that's the weather this year. How's the weather where you are? Around here it's certainly not been, as warm as it could be, but the summer's still relatively young, and we shall see how things progress. So today we're going to be going in the Polytunnel here, and we can see what's going on in here. So some of you may be aware of the little accident I had with my other Polytunnel a few months ago. So I'll link that video in the description box below, and you can indeed check that one out. So my other Polytunnel, it was basically double the size of this one. So this Polytunnel here is 3 meters this way, which is about 10 feet, and 2 meters that way, which is about 6.5 feet. So this bed here was actually within the previous Polytunnel. So the previous Polytunnel was double the size of this one, started about where that one is over there, and actually came down to here. So it was actually 6 meters that way and 3 meters that way. So it was about 20 by 10 feet. Now this bed here was actually within that Polytunnel itself. So the grapevine here, variety Riesling, the grapevine over there, variety Rhea, were actually growing within the previous Polytunnel. You can see I put up some canes here, bamboo canes. I'm growing this vine up here. Got all sorts of crops now growing within this bed here. So what have I got? Cauliflower, perpetual spinach, I've got a pumpkin plant, and what is that over there? That is sweet corn. I've got some celery, so all sorts of things really. So I was always adding to the growing medium whilst it was in the Polytunnel with mulch, compost, etc. And in my opinion, that's a very important thing to do. You want to always be building your soil quality, making sure there's plenty of organic matter in there for good, strong crops. So we'll see just how this area does here, and also this tunnel here itself. So in we go. Now if I'm limping a bit today, don't worry about it. I've got a bit of a foot injury, but that'll pass in time. So let's have a look in here and see what's happening. So here we are in the tunnel. So here I have a peach tree. This is variety Peregrine. And here at the back, I don't know if you can see this, I have Nectarine Lord Napier. So these cropped very heavily last year. I keep these trees in the Polytunnel here. They're actually planted in the ground within the Polytunnel, and the reason I've got them growing in here is avoidance of peach leaf curl. I'm not going to go too much into that today. Basically I protect them from rainfall. So I made quite a detailed video on the growing of peaches last year. You'll find that in the description box below, so you can check that one out if that interests you, where I talk quite a bit about peaches. There'll also be several other videos in that description box below as well if you want to maybe find out a bit more about anything I speak about today, because I've probably made a more detailed video on that in the past. So there they will be. So let's have a few little close-ups of these two lovely trees, and you can see how they are doing. So Nectarine variety Lord Napier. Lovely little bunch of nectarines on there. Probably if I look over the tree, there's maybe about 30 or 40 little nectarines on there, so that's wonderful. So I was very concerned actually with these trees getting rained on during that period between the time when the previous Polytunnel got destroyed and me putting this new one up. I think there was about a week or 2 weeks, something like that, time span in which I was able to get this Polytunnel up in. What I did was I actually chucked a ton bag over each one, and hopefully that kept most of the rainfall off of them. No signs of peach leaf curl, so that's really wonderful. So this variety here, Lord Napier, it's a beautiful white flesh variety, really tasty nectarine, and I highly recommend this variety for people interested in the growing of nectarines. So peach variety Peregrine, just like the Lord Napier, this is a lovely white flesh variety. Both of these are quite historical. You might want to do a little bit of reading up on them, but yeah, set a small crop here. Nothing like the amount that's on the nectarine, but that's okay. But here we go. I hope you can see that. Can you see them? Look, some there. So really nice actually, very happy indeed. Last year these cropped before the nectarines. Where are we going? Let's have a look. So I've probably got, maybe about 10 or so little peaches on here, something like that, maybe a bit more actually. So yeah, as I peruse through this tree, you can actually see a fair sized crop actually, so very happy. Quite a few under there as well, as you can hopefully see. So tomatoes, I'm growing 4 varieties of tomatoes here. So Gardener's Delight, this is a German variety of tomato. Many people will be well aware of this variety. It's very commonly grown here in the UK. Grew it last year, did relatively well with it, so growing it again this year. Here I have a variety called Big Zac, which, if I remember correctly, actually got the world record for the biggest tomato, so very interested there to see how this will do. Now here I've got a Romanian cherry tomato, Paradixum cherry, so very interested to see how this one turns out. I know in Romania and Eastern Europe they generally tend to have longer and warmer summers than we have here, at least that's what I've been told anyway. Colder winters in general, but also longer and warmer summers, so we'll see how this variety does here. And here I have a variety called Groshovka, which is a Russian tomato which I grew last year, so be very interested to see how these varieties do this year. Got them growing in 30-litre containers, so that's where they're going to be staying, and they're growing pretty well actually, so we'll just wait and see how they do. So regarding temperatures this year, been relatively cool actually the entire growing season, so it really didn't do my aubergines or my chilies any good that. Now what I should have done really was move them in and out of this tunnel, take them inside and brought them back out here during the day when the temperature was over about 10 degrees C, so 10 degrees C is about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Crops, plants, etc., such as aubergines, they really don't like going below about 10 degrees C. Probably won't kill them going a little bit below that, but it can stop them growing, which can be a big problem. I'll show you here just how small. This is variety Dorger White. I'll show you how small one of my little aubergine plants is. Look at that, absolutely tiny, but not going to be giving up on them. I wasn't able to budget the time to give them the love they deserve, moving them in and out, etc., like I did last year. Check out my aubergine video that I made last year if you want to see, a better way of growing aubergines. You'll find that in the description box below, but there it is anyway. But you can see growing in the container here. So one reason I'm growing them in containers is because I found last year the ones in containers cropped earlier than the ones I grew in the ground. Grew them both in the polytunnel, and a lot of that, in my opinion, is because by growing a plant such as this in a container, you're actually stressing it a little bit, so it wants to reproduce quicker in the forms of seeds within the fruit. So you could consider trying that if your chilies and your aubergines, etc., are a bit on the small side. So got a variety of chili here, Onavec hot pepper, there you go. Once again on the small side, and my Onavecs this year, I actually grew them from seeds I saved last year, so was very happy with the germination rate. Now, never know, the weather might stay warm, it might warm up soon and then stay warm right into the autumn, so really don't know how the growing season's going to progress, but should be very interesting this year to just see what the weather does and how the crops will be impacted by it. So down here in this container I've got some bitter melons, otherwise known as bitter gourd or Empalea. So this container is probably about 20-25 litres, something like that. I've got 4 plants planted in there, so we'll see how they do. These are said to have beneficial qualities for those with type 2 diabetes, so you might want to do a little bit of research on that subject. I've cropped these before in this country, no problem. They do like a nice warm temperature, so whether we're going to get what's required for those this year, we are yet to see, but either way, they're planted there and we'll see what we get. So I've got one here and one just here. You probably can't see this one. So this is a watermelon plant, and so is the other one, variety Jubilee. Once again, still relatively on the small side, but we shall see just how they do. Melon video, you'll find that in the description box below. Growing melons is very possible here in the UK. I've grown many varieties before. I've never grown this variety. This is a new one for me. So we shall see just how these do. So that's the inside of that polytunnel there. Now, as I stated earlier, I do have another polytunnel and we'll be covering that in a subsequent video. So next video, hopefully we'll be able to look a little bit at what I've got growing in some of the outside beds here. They're doing really well. Got cauliflowers, sweet corn, celery, got perpetual spinach, runner beans, dwarf beans. No, they're not dwarf beans, they're climbing French beans, sorry. So yeah, all sorts going on. Carrots here, la-di-da-di-da, plenty to show. So stay tuned for the next video, and I hope you enjoyed that one. Comments, questions, whatever's, please feel free to comment in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next video.